A very warm welcome to all our participants. Thank you all for joining in. I see Hilag, Nimesh, Rakhi, Sandra, Tushar, Ushma, Vanita, Ayushi, Chetan, Mauli, Neha, Pankaj, Pooja, Surabhi. Thank you so much for joining us today. Good afternoon, Sapna. We will begin our session in a couple of minutes. Dr. Sheetal, I was also going through that article of yours, which was on bridging the skill gap. So, pretty interesting one. Would love to discuss with you on the same, and we can also have a session around that. Pretty
Oh,
interesting. We'll look forward to that.
that article has a lot of inputs from the time that I spent with NSDC, with the government of India. So I was able to travel the entire length and breadth of the country, and I could realize, the diverse issues that are there across the various demographies, and how to,
True.
how to sort it out, sort of thing. Yeah, why not?
Great, great. Well, it's time to begin with our today's webinar. Hello and welcome to all our participants present here today. Thank you so much for your time. To find long-term happiness, you need to retain your brain from a negative mindset to a positive mindset. The secret to leading a happy life has been described well by a speaker today who has delved deep into interactions with inspiring mentors and gurus to end up with a four-pillar strategy which he calls the unos, dos, tres, and cuatro. By merely following these strategies successfully, one can move ahead on the path to success and happiness. He has summarized these techniques used by various psychologists, management gurus, spiritual gurus, and entrepreneurs in successfully managing one's life in the best possible manner. A quote by Dale Carnegie: remember, happiness doesn't depend upon who you are or what you have, it depends solely on what you think. How can one lead a happy life? Let's hear it from our speaker today. HR Association of India welcomes you all to the 2021 Dialogue Masterclass series on the topic The Monk's Secret. To know more about HRAI and its event, I would request all our participants to visit the link and details posted in the chat window. I request all our participants to kindly follow the webinar guidelines mentioned in the chat window. It would be great to have all the participants' feedback. We will be running a poll before the Q&A session. Request all the participants to kindly give your feedback on this session. I now take the privilege to introduce our esteemed speaker for today, Dr. Sheetal Nair, author, storyteller, serial entrepreneur, DSS Group of Companies. He is a professional with more than a decade of experience in multiple business and training dimensions, both in private and public domain. He holds a doctorate in training and development from North Central University, Arizona, and an MBA from Symbiosis International University. He also holds diploma in corporate laws from IIM Calcutta and is a PFA counselor from Johns Hopkins University, USA, along with having a diploma in comprehensive teaching and learning techniques from Harvard University. He is an author of two bestsellers, The Midas Touch and The Monk's Secret, and is on board of studies for a new prestigious institute. You can follow him on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. I now hand over the platform to Dr. Sheetal. Over to you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you, HRAI, and thanks a lot for this glowing introduction that has been shared across for me. Welcome, all of you. Hi, it's an afternoon, and we all are struggling in the times of COVID. Pandemic has literally pushed us back. So, yes, the topic that I am going to be speaking about, or the masterclass that I'm going to be conducting on, is the Monk's Secret. As the introduction says, it's about being happy. It's about the art of living a happy life. And that's what the book's subtitle is. And so is what the session is about. Before I begin, let me just set the tone for this session. I would really love it, if possible, if we can have a dialogue in the middle, as and when I prop up a question. You need not unmute yourself. You can just type in your chat box. It's absolutely fine. But do share. Otherwise, I would not like this to be a monologue, right? Before I start off and before I start sharing my screen, let me just share with you a short story. You can make whatever you want to make of the story. But this story is about a common man, a common boy rather. It will give me a better connect that ways. Who had multiple issues in life. The boy was overweight. He was, let's say, 121 kilos. Had multiple personality disorders and insecurity that brings the being overweight, not able to wear clothes, peer pressure, not getting the right kind of attention. Those issues bring upon. He had that issue too. His parents told him that right from a young age that he needs to be a doctor. So the child is overtly under pressure. Till the 10th standard, he was an amazing performer, scored really well, was in the top 10 of the class. So yes, it was good for him. The moment he reached 11th, then suddenly the world of tuitions opened up for him. He started attending these multiple tuitions, saw really confident young boys and girls from other schools. And he suddenly realized that, am I cut out or am I really good enough to become probably a doctor or probably a very good professional? His confidence nosedived. Now, this individual who was probably the top 10 of the class, when his 12th standard marks came out, scored 44%. 44% is not possible for him to get a medical seat, right? I mean, that's something which is understood and we all accept. So now again, a disappointment struck him. His father was good. He was really nice and he was a pretty mature guy. So his father pushed him to go to meet a career psychologist or a career counselor, whatever you like. He went to the career counselor and so at that time, computers were in vogue. So he wanted to become probably a computer engineer, but then marks, again, a big bottleneck, would have never become a computer engineer with those low marks. No college would have given him admissions. And in spite of being such a bad circumstance, he was not interested in buying a seat. So you understand what buying a seat means. So, yeah, he was not interested in that. So he went to the career counselor and he told the career counselor that, this is what I want to do. So the career counselor was really nice. I have mentioned the name of this career counselor in a number of books too. He is very popular. You can all read about him. Probably towards the end of the session, I'll share his name also. Now, this boy, he went to the career counselor. He said, "I want to do computer engineering. I wanna get into coding." The career counselor said, "Is that what you want to do? Is that something that's your calling?" Calling, a very new word for him, and he did not understand that. His life was his parents, his cousins, his relatives, his friends. Half of his friends were doing engineering, very common. Half of his friends were into medical, again very common. And the remaining half were in commerce. And this guy was in science. What to do? I mean, after doing science, he would not want to get into commerce. So he said, no, I will do computer engineering. So against the advice of the career counselor, he went ahead and did computer. He went into something like a computer application. So BCA, he did a bachelor's in computer application. Midway through BCA, he realized, good Lord, I cannot do coding. I'm not cut it. I mean, I'm not cut out for it. So what does he do now? With a heavy heart, he goes to his father and says, Dad, can you send me again to the career counselor? His father looks at him in a very terse manner and says, What now? He's like, I think I should visit him again. Again, no questions asked. Very supportive parents. So they send him to the career counselor. Career counselor looks at him. He says that, Did I not tell you that this is not your calling? So now the boy has finally understood multiple failures. So he's hit rock bottom. You understand rock bottom. There's nothing else. He cannot go anywhere below. He's probably at the crust of the earth. If he digs, nothing else is there. So he looks at the counselor and says, okay, I'll leave it to you. Do guide me what I need to do. So he undertakes a lot of psychometric analysis tests, a few MBTI, NUFFI, etc., 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 and comes out with a profile which tells the boy that he's a people's person. Now, this boy belongs to a very small town. Okay, I mean, in this town, there is nothing known as a people's person. He looks at the council and says, what sort of degree do I get when I become a people's person? Do I get a people's person engineer, or do I become a doctor in people's person? What is it? So it's not the era where you can just open your smartphone and Google. So he had to rely a lot on the information that was being shared by the career counselor. So the career counselor opened him to the world of HR, human resources. That was amazing. The boy suddenly realized, yes, this is what I'm good at. Why was I never given this option in my school? So the perils of Indian education system. So this option is not open for kids anywhere. I mean, it's a shocking thing, but a lot of Indian parents and Indian teachers don't really give the options of humanities. So anyhow, now still the boy is still overweight. Okay, he's still got insecurity issues, but then now he knows that I want to be a people's person. So he gives an entrance test, joins a top 10 B school in India, becomes an HR professional. Now he knows, yes, I am going to be a people's person, and I will start working as an HR. He gets into a very big Japanese MNC, and he's well armed to go and become a people's person, do an HR's job. Because he studied a lot about HR and he thinks that HR is about talking to people. So he goes to this Japanese MNC on the shop floor and he does that. He starts talking to people. And people look at him with like utter disgrace. And why is this guy coming and talking to us? So that is the first big shock to him, that what I learned in the book and what is in real life is not common at all. Good Lord, what do I do now? I can't go back to the career counselor. He's very far away. I cannot give him a call. What does he do now? He gets back to his roots. He was lucky. He had a lot of mentors, and one of this mentor was a clinical psychologist. And he told him that, sir, I'm struck. I do not know what to do. I was always told I'm a people's person. I knew I was a people's person, and I focused my life on being a people's person. But now that I have the opportunity, I do not know what to do. I'm stuck. What do I do? So the professor, the mentor, professor, clinical psychologist, he had an amazing exposure to Western culture. He had done his PhD in US. He had worked in US for 10 years. And again, I'm not trying to say the Western education system is better, but yes, you are better exposed in West than India. So anyhow, so he tells him that, why don't you start researching? And he's like, sir, researching? He's like, yes, that's again a good field. That's again a good option. And voila, this boy starts doing research, and his parents, as it is, wanted him to be a doctor. So he became a doctor eventually by doing PhD. By now, a lot of you must have realized that this is my story. If not, then let me share this with you. This is my story. I am a very barely 12th pass boy who has somehow managed to crack education at different levels. But post the school, when I realized what I could do, I have cracked n number of universities. I've been to IIMs, I've been to Harvard, I've been to these premier institutes. I'm on board of studies of those universities where I could not have even imagined to go and study. And as you see, I'm not 121 kilos anymore. I'm pretty fit, aren't I? So how did this transformation happen? This transformation happened because I was able to crack open a secret, and that is what I wanted to share with all of you. When I call it a monk secret, I'm not trying to say that I am a monk or this is a secret that as a monk I'm sharing with you. But I've had amazing interactions. I've had lovely interactions with people right from Anand Mahindra to Ratan Tata to Dr. Nilanjan Kaur, my professor, to this interesting career counselor I talked to about from a small town of Vadodara that I belong to. And all these interactions, all these mentors, all these people have played an important life in drafting me. And today, I wanted to share this with you. I wanted to share the ability to live a happy life with you. So, what is this monk secret about? As Peterson said, I'm going to be talking about these four concepts known as uno, dos, tres, and cuatro. Spanish words, Latin words. Just Google it. It basically means one, two, three, and four. Why I did that? Because I feel that in today's world, you need to package things better. Only good packages sell. So hence, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, nothing else, no other logic behind it. So that's the four pillar strategy which I've shared in this bestseller. I was lucky that this became a bestseller within 45 days across the universe. Thousands of copies were sold, and amazing feedback I have received. And hence, I wanted this masterclass to be based on Monk Secret. So before I begin, there's this short questionnaire which I wanted you to answer. I mean, you must see these 5 questions in front of you. Name the 5 wealthiest people in India. Name 5 teachers who helped you throughout your journey. You need not write this down, or you need not share everything with me. But I want to take few minutes, go through these questions in your mind. Remember them. Remember, as per you, who are the 5 wealthiest people in India? Remember, as per you, who are the 5 teachers who helped you through your journey in life. And these 5 teachers can be from your school, can be from your college, can be from your job, anything. You can find a teacher even in your friend. Huh? Name 5 teams which have won the IPL. It's IPL season, right? And cricket and politics sells in India. And that's why we still have cricket and politics ongoing in the pandemic also, because that's what we like. Name 5 friends who will help you at any given point of time, right? And name 5 Filmfare Award winners. Once you're done, just use the chat box and say yes. I mean, just for me to know that if 3 to 4 people are done, that basically means that you guys are true. Just use the chat box and say you guys are done. Raki's done. Sapna's done. 2 more, and then I'll reveal the secret behind this question. Then Raki, Sapna, please do attempt. It's a fun thing. I will share why I'm sharing this to you also. What about others? Just use the chat box and say yes. Done, done. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, when you answered these 5 questions, now I want you to, use the chat box to answer to this question. Now, when you remember these 5 people, or when you try to answer this question in your mind, which were the questions that brought a smile to your face? I mean, just out of the blue, brought a smile. Did you smile when you remembered the 5 wealthiest people in India? Oh yes, Mukesh Ambani. Did you do that? Teachers, okay, good, Shreya. Who else? What else? What else? Did the 5 friends question, Sapna? Yes, absolutely. Friends, Raki, okay. What about others? Only 4 people participating. What about the remaining 40? Please share your answers. What made you smile? Couple of them. Come on. Neha, okay, teachers, Sunita, friends. So, if I would just try to take an average of all these things, you smiled when you thought about your friends, and you smiled when you thought about your teachers. Now, how many of you want to become like your teachers or your friends? You want to become? Are they your role models? Are they your ideals or idols? Are they? Are your teachers your idols? Yes, no, kind of. Okay. I'm a ready and mentor. Okay. All right. As a mentor, do you think that someone else can be your ideal or idol? Parvati? Good. Great. How many of you feel that neither do you want to become like your teachers, nor do you want to become like your friends? You're just happy to become the next Mukesh Ambani or the next Sridhar Vembu. Sridhar Vembu is good, but just out of the blue. A lot of times what happens is we base our lives on people who are not on are reachable. So we read books about these big time leaders like probably Bill Gates, Warren Buffett's strategy. If you're into stock market, then Mr. Jhunjhunwala's strategy. and you feel like, oh, good Lord, this is what I want to do in life. But these people are really far. I mean, they are not reachable. You can be inspired by reading about them. But what if you're inspired by people whose lives you have been through? I personally feel that you want to become the next Bill Gates, you want to become the next, what do you call it, Tom Hanks, you want to become the next version. You can think of these people as your role models. Yes, Shreya, that's again a good option. You can probably become the best version. No, that's what this book is about too, and that's what this session is about too. So the idea is, if at all you want to be a mentor, if at all you want to be happy in life, you should try to base your life on those people whose day-to-day lives you can see. I, when I was undergoing a lot of stress, when I was trying to reach out to people, I had n number of role models. And the biggest role model, I always say, I whenever I write a book, I reach out to him. I am like an Eklavya, he's the Dronacharya. I'm talking about Jaggi Vasudev, Sadhguru. Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev is a big inspiration for me. Uh, so I have based a lot of my thought process and theories in a way he talks. So he is a role model. But would I want to become a next Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev? No, I don't want to become Sadhguru. But I want to take the best traits out of his life. So that is what we should do. We should try to take the best traits out of life. Coming back, why I asked you this question is, all of us are happy a lot of times, all of us are sad a lot of times, and it is very easy for us to become negative. We per se as a race are a negative race. If I make this statement, how many of you agree? How many of you agree that with the statement that as a race, we human beings are negative? Do you agree to this statement? Please use the chat box. Do you agree to this statement that as a race, we human beings are negative? Yes? Okay, good. Couple of more. How many of you don't agree? Anyone who does not agree that we are negative people? Agree. Okay, okay. Yeah, same here, Parvati. Same here. Absolutely. So we as a race are negative, and that is one of the major reasons why we are surviving also. The reason why we evolved is because we are a negative race. We always used to perceive threat. We know, good Lord, this is going to happen. Let us safeguard ourselves. When the first human being got frozen to death, the others one saw and said he should probably cover his body. We should probably invent or discover fire, etc., etc., etc. So the reason why we are surviving today, as Yuval Noah Harari says in his book *Sapiens*, is because we are negative. And this trait, unfortunately, impacts us on our day-to-day life. Because we are a negative race, because we use that in our DNA to survive, it is very easy for us to be depressed. I make this statement and I can debate with anyone that every single individual walking on this earth has been depressed once, at least in his life or her life, I mean, gender apart. The reason why we are all depressed is we don't even know sometimes we are depressed, but we are bogged down by the aura, the energy that is around us, by feelings that we share, by threats, by perceptions that we have in our mind. And that is one of the major reasons why we are all sad. So, how do you break out of this? You break out of this by becoming a very successful and happy individual. Now, being happy, as I said, I was sharing my own story with you. Being happy means that you have to be happy mentally and physically. While I was doing what I was doing, while I was doing all these degrees, while I was getting all these accolades by writing books and all, I realized one thing, that it is very necessary for you to, become fit also. So I lost 41 kilos in 2 years. 2 years, I lost 41 kilos. And no, I did not undergo any operations. I did not do laparoscopy. I did not do anything. I just started focusing on my life. How did I focus on my life? So I made a strategy for myself. And as I take you through this four pillar strategy, I will share how I evolved this four pillar strategy by basing this on my life. Everyone has to experiment. And whom did I experiment on? I experimented on myself. I was the guinea pig for my own experiments. So I have based this four pillar strategy and I've made this strategy my life. And I have become a success by merely following this. So strategy number one, let's be very clear. Strategy number one is UNO, which is, I simply call it how to manufacture time. We have 24 hours in a day, right? 24 hours in a day. Imagine if I am telling you that what if you can make more than 24 hours in a day? You can actually probably make 26 hours in a day. You can probably make 30 hours in a day. How many fully agree? I mean, no one's going to agree. You're probably going to say, this guy's going to talk, this guy's talking jack shit. Doesn't know what he's saying. Probably he's drunk in the tri-state of Gujarat. So no one can manufacture time. Yet, I would like to call this strategy how to manufacture time. By simply following few methods in your day-to-day routine, you can end up manufacturing time. I'll give you a simple example. So what do I do today? I, on a daily basis, bike for 30 kilometers. I, on a daily basis, manage 4 different businesses. I have a business which is into manpower. I have a business which runs n number of cafeterias across the Baroda city. I have a business which is into electronic surveillance, and I have a business which is into training and development. Plus, I'm on a board of studies of n number of universities, and I am a trainer personally too. I am a life coach too. And I have a family. I stay with my in-laws and parents. I have a son. I'm able to manage time with them also. So how do you think I do all this? I do not take a break. I do not say that one day I'll cycle, one day I'll work on one business, one day I'll work on another business. I work on everything on a daily basis. What do? I do something known as co-location. There's an amazing word, co-location. I'll type it down for you in the chat box too, so you guys can, probably remember. The word is co-location. It's an amazing thing. So when I get up in the morning, I get up at like 4:45 in the day. I try to do that. I get up at 4:45 in the day, and after the first 15 minutes of uh, doing whatever I want to do, 5 o'clock sharp, I write down what I want to accomplish in a day. You get up in the morning, first thing I do is I write down a very small notepad. On that notepad, I finish, I say that this is the target of my day. I spend around 10 minutes behind that. Once I'm done with that, I gear up and start my biking. Then I come back, I go to my office, etc., etc. After I do multiple jobs, before I sleep in the night, I open the same book again, mark as to how many tasks which I had collocated for myself have I been able to accomplish. Now, I did not start this from day one. I used to procrastinate too. Everyone understands what procrastination means? Yes, we all have a habit of procrastinating. कल करेंगे, परसों करेंगे, कौन सी जल्दी है? The same way like our government has procrastinated, we will make hospitals. We will ensure that everything is done. We will become infra ready. Come, aaj nahi, kal. So similar to that, we all have human beings have the habit of procrastination. So when I started off, there was a big challenge. So I did not from day one collocate all the tasks to be done on day one itself. I started giving myself a timeline. I realized that once I started giving myself a timeline, I was able to accomplish these tasks much better. I today am able to finish a book a week. I today am able to do all the tasks which I say, and I have still more time to watch Netflix and chill. I still do that. If I can do that, so can you. I am not a superhuman. I am just like you and me. In fact, I was worse. I had a bad food habit. I had a very weird looking, unhealthy living lifestyle, everything. I have fought through all that and I have become a success today. If I can do it, so can you. Remember one thing, all of us have exactly same strategies and lifestyles. The problem with us human beings is that we always, as I said, we have this negative mentality. We always tell ourselves that ye nahi ho payega. Why? Because you know what, I have to do this. My boss is too tight. I have so many responsibilities at home. Uh, for someone who has to, for a working woman who has to handle her home and her child and her in-laws and the job, You would feel that impossible to do a job. It's not possible, but it is possible. It is simply possible by co-locating. And you will always realize this the moment you start writing down. You think that I want to buy something, and you write down that I want to buy something. There's a market difference to what will happen. Your brain will start registering it. Let me give a simple example. Do you remember the feeling when you started cycling first time? I mean, all of you cycled, right? When you were small kids, probably some of us still do as adults. But when you started cycling first time, it was so scary. I had this servant, who used to help me cycle. He used to come along with me, run along with me, and I used to be shit scared when he used to leave his hand and let me go, and I was like, I'm gonna fall down, and I've fallen down a number of times. It was so scary. Then I started learning a car, and while I was learning a car, and it was scarier than that, the gear, the clutch, the steering, how to ensure that you honk, the neighborhood bhaiya walks down or drives his car down fast, stares at you. What are you going to do? So much happening in the brain. It is impossible. But then the brain is amazing. Brain is the best asset that you have. The brain is your ally, but you need to make it your ally. I'll give you a very simple example. All of us know how to make our brain our ally. How? Today when you drive, you don't really think, am I pressing the accelerator? Am I pressing the clutch? Am I driving it properly? Is someone coming nearby? It automatically happens. Why? Because your neural pathways, the brain pathways, the nerves, the neural pathways have already embedded these actions in their brain because you're practicing it again and again and again. The more that you practice, the more it imprints on your brain, and you're automatically able to do it. That is exactly what I'm saying. So you say, 21 days it needs, you need to do something to make it a habit, etc., etc., etc. So that is what it is. It's embedding in your neural pathway. So collocation, embed collocation in your pathway. Every day start writing. Writing leaves a larger impact to your brain. Do this. I assure you will automatically change. So strategy number one, how to manufacture time? Simply by collocating your tasks for the entire day, by collocating it on importance. I consult a number of companies, and there are a number of companies facing a number of issues. I was consulting with this company in Ahmedabad, and that company was coming with a greenfield project, and they were having some hassles in acquiring the land. And they went through a number of people, they went through politicians, they tried to reach out directly to the village, but they were always having issues. So what did they decide? They decided that let's just, by force of nature, just grab the place and we'll start, construction there, and we can do stuff. Now, while they were doing all this, there was this new HR manager who joined them, and he was a very, very smart guy. I really am happy to have learned a lot from him. What he told was, rather than me forcing my way through it, if the company gives me like 15 odd days, I would like to go and talk to the people. I would try to explain to them or give them a vision as to what the company is going to do for them. So he spoke to the GM, he spoke to the MD of the company, and he said, allow me to do that. The MD said, isse kya hoga? The MD was a proper banyan, and he very clearly said, isse kya hoga? Time is money, and I need to make sure that I make my money. The HR said, you already lost a lot of time. Give me some more time. Let me go and tell them. Let me talk to them. And this is the power of visualization. What he went there with models. He went with the models of the company. He went to the villages and he showed the villages as to how the company is going to be, what is going to happen to the infrastructure once the company is going to come up, how things will be around it. He took life-size models to them and he told them, not only will you get employment, but you'll also be able to identify yourself with this company. So tomorrow someone's going to come and say, which village do you want to go? We want to go to the village where X company is there. So he visualized, he arranged, or he told them what is going to happen. And he told them that give me some time. Let me explain to you step by step as to what this is going to do for you and your lifestyle. And it will make a market change to your thinking and thought process. Well, he was lucky. The Sarpanch decided to give him an opportunity. They stopped protesting. There was some political ill will too, which was sorted out, and the company began their work. And I think it's been 2.5 years now that the company is fully functional. They are into the product of, they are into making certain pigments around Ahmedabad, and they are doing really well. So the idea, what he did here was he made resistance, and with made resistance, he was able to visualize. He was able to give the power of his own visualization to these people. Why am I talking about visualization? Because visualization is a very important power. It's a very strong thing. You can too visualize your own goals, your own thought processes by merely writing it down. That is how to manufacture time. That is project number one. That is pillar number one. We are through with that. Now, what is the other thing that you can go through? In this pillars, we have uno, and now we come to dos. Now, what is dos? The pillar dos, what does it talk about? It talks about something which all of us have. I will again start. I think I am the best example for my own self. When I was doing my MBA from Symbiosis, I come from a very small town of Vadodara, and in a very normal school I studied, and it is a big thing for people to converse fluently in English. Even now, I mean, at that time it used to be crazy, right? And I went to Symbiosis, I cracked my snap, and I got a good score. And when I went to Symbiosis, I saw all these people from North India, from Mumbai, from Bangalore, from Hyderabad, really big cities coming down. And I was heavily insecure. And I was like, will I be able to stand up to them? I mean, it's very tough. I mean, will I be able to converse with them? Will I understand what they're saying? Yeah, man, seriously, such thoughts do come. I do not know about you. But such insecurities were there in my head. And that made me realize that an insecure man is like exactly what you see in the snap. We are all walking through a glass ceiling, and we think that we'll fall down anytime, because a glass ceiling means we do not know what's going to happen. The next step means that we'll fall down into a big time alley. And it's crazy because we're shit scared. We are all insecure. Now, in this insecurity, we are all facing such a big challenge, because in insecurity, we forget what is good in us. Because we are so much focused on insecurity, we do not know what is good in ourselves. So, like, while I was insecure, while I was studying with Sebastian, I was like, will I be able to converse? I'm still overweight. Huh? I have not lost weight. I just lost weight like 2.5, 3 years ago. So that time I was again heavily overweight. And we had a practice of wearing formals when we go to everything. So symbiosis as a culture means that if you're going to attend classes, you have to be in formals. You have to be wearing Oxford shoes. You have to wear formal belts, formal watches, etc., etc., etc. So, I mean, like an overweight, obese kid, and I used to feel that I would never fit into this. Kaise ho payega? It is going to be so tough. This is when I started off my college. 6 months down the line, there was a transformation. I did not care if I was overweight. I did not care if I looked ill-fitting. I was wearing ill-fitting clothes, or if I was not eye candy, if people liked looking at me or not. What I had realized by then was I had the gift of the gab. I could talk. I could talk about any topic under the sky, and I could keep on going on talking. And this skill set, which I realized, made me very secure and confident about myself. How did I do that? So you see, when I was insecure about my body language, my style, my language, my vocabulary, etc., 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 I met this very intelligent gentleman who was again a very dear professor of mine. Unfortunately, he's no longer there around us, Professor Dhanak, Devin Dhanak. Dhanak sir always used to come, and Dhanak sir was very rude. I mean, he used to be very practical and on the point. And he saw me one day, and he's like, he called me here, and he's like, what is wrong with you? Why are you so slumped and you're just sitting on the side of the class and slouching? What's happened? So I was like, sir, I do not know. I probably don't understand. He's like, what do you not understand? What's your issue? So I told him my issue, and I was very open. Probably I was in a very low phase at that time. I shared all my issues with him, and I said, this is what's wrong with me. You know what he told me? I mean, usually आप जब किसी की दुख या when किसी का दर्द सुनते हैं, when you listen to someone's agony, what do? You give them a shoulder to cry, like, I understand. It's okay. We all go through this. You will come out of it. Usual dialogues, cliche dialogues. So I was expecting the same from Dhanak sir, and he's like, you know what? When I listened to all this that you said, I realized that you talk a lot, huh, Sheetal. I was like, okay. And then I suddenly realized that I had spoken continuously for 10 to 15 minutes, non-stop. about my life, my issues. And Dhanakshay said, "कि तू इतना अच्छा continuously fluently बोलता है, so that basically means you can talk about anything." And I was like, maybe, sir, I do not know. Maybe I think I can. You know what he told me? So they had this evening class in Symbiosis where you had these working professionals coming out. He's like, come down in this one of these evening classes and come along with the session. मेरे session में साथ में आना. And he used to teach OB, organizational behavior. Now I went to his session, OB. It was around 6:30 in the evening, and we had these working professionals coming down at 7 o'clock. So 6:30, I reached the class with him, and I was like, "Sir, where do I sit?" So he's like, "You don't sit anywhere. You stand with me." I was like, "Sir, I mean, you're going to be teaching, and I am a first semester student. I do not know OB." He's like, "It's nothing. I'm just going to talk about people and their behavior, and you're going to help." I was like, "Okay, sir, I'll try to help you. I do not know what's happening. And as it is, I'm shit scared. I mean, again, appearance, I was very vulnerable because of the way I thought about how I look. So I was like, good Lord, these working professionals are going to come and they're going to be so smart, probably wearing blazers and all. And I'm just wearing a normal formal shirt. Hota hai na, we all are very scared about the way we look. I was. I'm waiting there, and we have these working professionals from John Deere coming on. So John Deere had some sort of a tie-up with Sims, and they were running their executive programs. And we had this really good-looking, smart young people coming down and learning sessions. And when I say good-looking, smart people, I'm trying to say that 70% of the people were women, and they were like really good-looking women. I'm like, okay, now this is really scared. I mean, A, they're women, and B, I do not know what to do. I know what Dhanak is gonna tell me, and I'm gonna probably make a mess out of it. So Dhanaksha started speaking about OB. Now, because he was speaking to these seniors, it was not OB, he was talking about OD, that is organizational development. And he was giving a case study. And while he was giving the case study, he told me, see, when we did our MBA, before we did our MBA, were multiple books which were handed to us. And one of the book was the Google story. I do not know. Have you read the Google story? Has anyone read the Google story? Becoming a very big monologue, so I'm just asking again. Has anyone read the Google story? Anyone? Anyone? No one? No? Okay. Read the Google story. It's an amazing book about how Sergey Brin created and his partner created Google. So we had read Google story, and it had a lot to talk about the issues they faced and how they handled their entire structuring of the company, etc. And I had done that. So Dhanak sir spoke, and then he said, "This boy, his name is Sheetal. He is a first year student at Symbiosis. He's a he's a hostel student. He's staying here, and he's going to talk about the Google story to you. And he will speak about the OD part of Google story. Now, understand, I am not prepared. I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to say. What will I say? But then when I started off, I just started off. I started speaking about Google story. I started speaking about Sergey Brin. I started speaking about how the company was formed. I started speaking about the challenges they were facing. And by the time I finished that, I finished, I realized that I had spoken for a good 15 odd minutes. I was like on the top of the world. Why? Because all the people at John Deere were clapping it for me, not at me, for me. And that was a kick-ass confidence booster. That day and today, I always remember Dhanak sir whenever I feel slightly jittery. He embedded confidence in me by just pushing me through something which I thought I could never break. And post that, I never focused on the way I looked. I mean, I was like, I do not care. Till the time I'm focused on the subject, I know people will listen to me. And that's what I did. I've been a trainer for the past 10 odd years now. I know for a fact that trainers are supposed to be role models. When I worked with Dale Carnegie for a year, I had this assignment with them, and Dale Carnegie guys told me that as a trainer you have to be presentable, and that is the first time that I actually started working on my uh, presentability. But then I realized that health matters, and I focused on that. Coming back to insecurity, we all have insecurities. So how can we face our insecurities? How do we fight it? It is very easy for me to come and say, go and face your insecurity. If you're insecure about something, go and start fighting it. It is not like that. We have to understand one thing that, irrespective of how much insecurity that we have, we all have something which is really good in ourselves. We have this one trait which is really good in our own self. We need to fight it. We need to find that factor, and we need to ensure that we are able to escape this insecure feeling. Easier said than done. But if you have a word known as belief, If you believe in the God, if you believe in the Almighty, if you believe in the power of positivity, I'm not asking you to become God fearing people or God loving people. I'm trying to say, remember that there is a power and there is an aura to you. Rhonda Byrne in a book, The Secret, says that if you are able to think of something, it will automatically do good for you. Or as Shah Rukh has very nicely twisted in his movie Om Shanti Om, अगर आप किसी चीज को चाहते हैं तो पूरी कायनात कोशिश करने लगती है कि आपको चीज मिल जाए. It is all about the power of positivity. If you're insecure about anything, maybe a relationship, maybe a job, maybe a friendship, face your fear face first. Do not run away. Do not run away. I never ran away. I have faced all my issues. I have faced all my fears front on. And what I am today is that because of just that. I am 35-year old. I have accomplished whatever I've accomplished in the past 10 odd years by merely facing my insecurities. Again, I repeat, if I can, so can you. So, what is the technique of how do I face my insecurity? Just like Uno, where you collocate, you face your insecurity by first recognizing your insecurity. How many of you know what an insecurity are? I mean, can you write down in the chat box? You don't need to know. You don't need to share with me what your insecurities are. But how many of you know that you actually have insecurities? Do you know? I know. I still know that I am insecure about certain things. Rakhi, good, good. Only two people know that they're insecure. We have 50 plus people now. Come on. Tushar, yes, good, good. Neha doesn't work on it. I will teach you a technique of how to know your insecurities. काफी बार क्या होता है, I hope you are comfortable when I use Hindi, English, Gujarati in the middle. So a lot of times what happens is that we have a habit, we become like ostriches sometimes, and we put our head inside the ground, and we feel that the danger will just go away. It will just pass us, and when we take our head out, we are kick-ass fine. So with insecurities also, this is the case. We all know we are insecure. We all know certain things are not good for us, but we avoid thinking about it. It is not about talking, huh? We avoid thinking about it altogether. There was this snake charmer in a very small village of Tamil Nadu. And he had this habit of doing snake charming. And nowadays, snake charming is a very sad business, and not many people go to watch snake charmers. So he was still doing good. He was somehow able to manage his own life and the snake's life. It's not legal also to capture snakes and do that, but still he was able to make a living. And suddenly there was this guy, the forest officer. He comes there and says, "What are you doing to the snake charmer?" Snake charmer was like, "Sir, I am earning a living. I do not know what else to do." And the forest officer says, "See, this is illegal. I'll put you behind bars because you are conducting something which is illegal." The snake charmer just folds his hands and says, "Okay, sir, I do not know anything else. This is the only way I earn my livelihood. If you take this away, my kids are going to be hungry. I will not be able to run my house." So the forest officer was very kind, and he was based out of that nearby the Coimbatore area where, let's say, Sadhguru also has his ashrams, the Adi ashrams there, Adishesh ashrams. And the forest officer says that, "Okay, I completely understand that there is no other way to earn your livelihood. What all can you do in a day? What all do you do?" It's like, in a day, nothing. I get up in the morning, I go to the forest, I collect some herbs, I ensure that there are enough live animals or dead animals which I can feed my snake, and I cut some wood, I go to the well nearby, collect some water, etc., etc. So the forest officer said, "Why do you collect herbs?" He's like, "Sir, we live very close by to the forest, and a lot of times animals come. There are small rattlesnakes. Sometimes they bite us, and these herbs are used basically to alleviate the pain." The forest officer said, "So you basically know what herb to use against what bites and stuff?" He's like, "Yeah, that is very normal. I naturally, that's how I live. That's how I survive." Like, great. What else do you do? Like, nothing, sir. I go inside the forest and I collect dead animals and I bring them so that, I can probably unskin them and, sell their carcass across. He's like, "You do all this and that's how you live?" He's like, "Absolutely fine." So this guy said, "Yeah, okay, good. Now that you know what you do, why don't you come along with me and I'll get you a job?" And this guy, the forest officer, takes him as an uncompromised contract worker in the forest officer. And this guy goes to the forest, collects herbs, and gives it across. So there's a big industry back down south, wherein these herbs, etc., are used by a company who's Forest Essentials. How many of you heard of this company who's Forest Essentials? Anyone? Forest Essentials? Anyone has heard of this company, Forest Essentials? Yeah. So Forest Essentials makes very good herbal products. Okay. And this is a very real story. This is not something which is concocted. So what Forest Essentials does is, if you read about their Basmadi Churnam, there's this Kumkumadi Basma, which is put on the face. Whereas what they actually do is they burn the ashes and then they put it under a full moon, and they allow the ashes to cool down with the light of full moon, and that's supposed to alleviate your skin issues. Now, these companies use people like this snake charmer to collect herbs from the forest, to collect certain things from the forest where no human eye can reach. There are herbs which are extinct as per us. Forest Essentials also makes Sanjeevani cream. I mean, if you just go online and check, this Sanjeevani cream is used to treat your skin issues. So these people are used to track such herbs. So why am I sharing this to you? I mean, think about it. If a snake charmer has skill sets which he has things which he can do, which is very much beyond what things which he can do to survive in life, you too can. So what you need to do is, first find out what insecurities you have. Try to face them head along, because your insecurities are just that. They are just ornamental in nature. All you need to do is pick it and keep it on your side. That's it. My insecurity, I had a big insecurity about the way I look. I had a big insecurity about, people may not perceive me the way I was supposed to. I became an entrepreneur when I was 21. And I thought, as an entrepreneur, no one's going to take me seriously. And today I'm a serial entrepreneur. I run companies I buy companies which are making loss. I turn it around and sell it. So you see, this is what life is. You can. If I can, you too can. It's not tough. Moving on to the third thing, which is stress, which is belief in your own system. I was talking about skill sets, and the same skill sets. We all have things which are really good in us. We need to find them out. It need not be a conventional thing. I thought that I could do coding. I thought I could become a good coder. I realized I'm not a good coder. I thought I can become a good HR person, but I realized that HR is much more than what is written in the book. But then I realized that I am actually a people's person. When I talk to them, I can explain the most complicated concepts in the easiest manner by simply sharing stories. And that is what I am. I believed in myself, and today what I am doing is just that. I'm on board of n number of organizations in India and abroad, wherein all I do is this. I break down complicated theories. I explain them to people in simple language they can understand. I'll assure you that in spite of you attending the session on a remote or a virtual manner, a lot of you are going to remember what I said by merely remembering that I was able to do so many things. And that is what I am again saying again and again. The power of emphasis, the power of ensuring that messages are sent across to you in the subconscious mind. That is, if I can do it, so can you. So that's exactly what I'm saying. Believe in your own self and you can make a big change. The last part, that is Kotro, be bold and brave. See, today's world is slightly weird. If you do not package yourself really well, if you're not in the spotlight, no one's going to take you seriously. That's unfortunate, but it's a fact. I had quit social media. I took a sabbatical like 2 years ago, and I rejoined social media in April 2020, because I had my book launches coming down. The only social media I used to do was LinkedIn. I was not there in FB, Instagram, Twitter, etc. The reason why I had to come back is because I realized this fact for a fact, that if I do not package myself, and if I'm not able to tell people that I have this, I will never be noticed. And the moment I'm not noticed, no one's going to buy me, or no one's going to use my products, or no one's going to use my services. So if you're good at something, remember you need to tell that you're good at something. मैं हमेशा ये चीज बोलता हूँ that जब छोटा बच्चा रोता है, when a small kid cries also, a mother is only able to realize that the kid is uncomfortable or the kid is hungry when the kid cries. If a mom cannot realize that her own child is uncomfortable or hungry, who are you and me? We are nothing. We need to tell the world what is good in us. And if you do not tell the world what is good in you, then it's nothing. As a working professional, three things. Remember, you should have a really updated LinkedIn profile. You should be abreast about the current handlings. If you are not upskilling yourselves, you're gone. See, there is an old adage which says a rolling stone gathers no moss. I would like to say if you do not roll, if you stay at one place, you become so stagnant, there will be only moss. And who needs a moss stone here? No one needs it. You need to ensure that you're always upskilling. And you need to ensure that you are always in the spotlight. That doesn't mean you shout in your job. That doesn't mean that you top. But if you're doing something good, make sure that your reporting manager knows that. In this book that I've written, that is The Monk's Secret, there are 10 strategies which are used or which are shared for you to become a better version of yourself, to ensure that the spotlight is on you. It's a very short session that I've been able to conduct today, so I'm not going to be delving extraordinarily deep into each and every single strategy. But what I wanted to share with all of you is that if you go through these strategies in your life, then you shall be able to become a better professional. Everything listed here in this book, which is The Monk's Secret. So yes, thank you HRAI and thank you Peterson for giving me this amazing opportunity to talk. As I was saying, I can keep on talking, but I think I have overshot my time, so I'll just cut myself short. Thanks, Peterson. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Sheetal. Yes, we will definitely would want to hear a lot from you. We'll have a Q&A session. We'll be covering the feedback. We'll be catching the feedback of our participants right now. So would request all our participants to share your feedback. We'll be running a poll right now. Please share your feedback on our today's session. While you're sharing your feedback, I request all our participants to share your questions pertaining to our today's session. Dr. Sheetal will be happy to respond to all your questions. Once again, I thank all our participants for joining our session today. We have received a lot of inquiry about the e-certificate offered by HRAI. You can claim your certificate by sharing your details, that is your name and the session that you have attended, in an email to the email ID provided in the chat window. Please ensure that you do this by the 30th of April 2021. We will email the e-certificates to you based on details received latest by 2nd of May 2021.
Can I start answering the questions if it's
Yes,
okay?
yes, sir. So we have in fact received a question from Sapna also. Dr. Sheetal,
Well,
once you realized what you want to do in life, did you have supportive environment too?
no, Sapna, I did not. See, I belong to a. See, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a brief introduction about my background too. Even though my parents were very supportive, I belong to an environment. I belong to a background which is I can call lower middle class or middle class. So middle class people have this biggest bottleneck. The bottleneck is that if I do something and if it doesn't work out, I have nothing else to do. So I did not really have a supportive environment, but that never bogged me down. Experimented a lot, and the only thing that helped me through the entire thing was my family. Because if I had taken a decision, if I took a decision, my family always backed me. Without my parents' support, or today without my spouse's support, I wouldn't have been able to do what I have been able to do. So when I say supportive environment, a lot of factors are there. A supportive environment means financial obligations, your parental support, your spousal support, and a lot of it has to develop or depend on your circumstances also. But if you have at least two out of these, you should be able to do. But yes, if you do not have parental or family support, it is sometimes a very tough thing to do because eventually we are all attuned to our own families. And sometimes if they do not support us, it takes time. But yes, I was lucky. I did get a good amount of parental support.
Well answered,
But
Dr. Sheetal. We have another question from Neha. How to discover insecurities?
how to discover insecurity? Okay. Body language. Body language is one of the biggest thing. I mean, it is very easy for us to observe someone else's body language. But have you ever observed your own body language? you see, when you put yourself into a specific circumstance or situation, are you able to do that? If you are not able to do that, why are you not able to do that? Do you think about it? We don't do that. What we do, मुझसे ये नहीं हो पाएगा. क्यों नहीं हो पाएगा? Why are you not able to do that? Sit and start writing. I know for everything I start saying sit and start writing, but honestly, when you sit and start writing, your brain will start thinking as to what you're doing. That is one of the biggest or the best way to realize your body language. Gauge your body language when you're doing something. I loved playing cricket, but because I was obese, I stopped playing cricket. But it was always in my head that I wanted to. I wanted to get into sports, so I started doing it. And then I suddenly realized I cannot play soccer, so let's focus on cricket. And I did that. The idea is to focus on your own body language.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sheetal, for the response. We have another question from Mohit Agarwal, which is slightly on the other side, saying that how to recognize one's own strength. When we talk about identifying our insecurities, how do we recognize our own strengths?
Per se, I feel that every human being's action has to be measured. There has to be an ROI. When I say return of investment, I want to say is that if you're doing something, it has to have an ROI. When I say ROI, I am not saying that you should get money for whatever you do. What I'm trying to say here is that you should be happy with what you do. So, how do you recognize one's own strength? I'll give you my own example. I told you I did multiple things, and I realized what that thing which makes me happy is my strength. It might sound very vague to you, but I'll tell you what, we are only strong on those facets of our livelihood which make us very happy, which bring a smile to our face. When I'm talking to you, Mohit, or when I'm talking to all of you today at HRAI, I'm really happy. And that is my strength. I realize that. So, how do you recognize your strength? First, try to understand what makes you happy. There's this session which I do known as Amplify Your Ikigai, wherein I help you guys, I help people find their Ikigai. So that is the sense of living, what your purpose of life is, right? So if you try to find your Ikigai, you'll be able to analyze what makes you happy. If you're able to find that thing that you are able to do and it makes you happy to, that is your strength. That's your answer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sheetal. Um, I have a question out here that is from Nandan Deer, but I would like to understand from him more better why you have marked your book Monk. So, Nandan, could you just elaborate what exactly you would want to ask?
I think he wanted to ask why you have named your book Monk.
Named your book or something like that.
Yeah. So the reason why I've named my book Monk is the title is The Monk Secret. I always felt, I was lucky to have studied under. I had the tutelage of so many good professors. I have studied for the best and the best, and I feel that all the teachers that I studied from, right from school and even today, they are all like monks. They have shared their knowledge to me. They have कहते हैं ना तपस्या करके उन्होंने ये सारी सीखी है सिद्धियां सीखी हैं, and they were able to share that with me. So these professors are the ones who have taught me, and what I've written in the book is merely my understanding of their terms. What they taught me about time management, I understood. My perspective was how to manufacture time. One of my professors taught me Buddhism. He introduced me to Buddhism. And because of his idea of happiness, the happiness index, so the GNH factor that Bhutan uses to gauge their livelihood, he taught me happiness index, and that is what I evaluate my life at. So yes, those are the things which made me name the book The Monk Secret.
Amazing. We have another question that is from Rajiv. Hi, Rajiv. He mentioned, my question is that would be your quick 3 steps. What would be your quick 3 steps to move to the upward spiral from a downward spiral whenever we are stuck in one?
Problem is today all of us somehow or the other always get stuck in the downward spiral. As I said, we are very pessimistic per se as a race, and it's very easy for us to become negative. The generic answer to your question would be try to find positive things in your life. But the practical answer which I would like to give, or as you've very clearly said, 3 steps that I would like to give is, see, remember one thing. You are lucky that you were born as a human being. You're lucky that you have a life, and you're lucky that you can form an impression on multiple people's lives. Why don't we utilize that? Even in the worst that you or me are, our lives are still better than probably an animal, because you are not grazing in a forest. You still have a life, and you can utilize that life to the best of your own abilities. Why do you want to get stuck? Because thinking that nothing good is happening for me. That is one. I know it is very abstract notion to think of. The number two, a very practical approach to life is I have a habit of writing down the positives in my life. When I'm feeling very negative about my own life, I start writing what is good in my life. If I'm able to find nothing that is good in my life, then I start to go in my past and see what was good in my life. And can I get that good back in my life again? होता क्या है, if we try to focus on something good in our past also, our mindsets can change. So this is where we have to understand, as animals we are very weird. If we start visualizing good things, our moods will become good. So that is when you watch a comedy, your mood becomes so nice. Have you noticed this? If you start watching comedies on a regular basis, you will start feeling happier. Now, if I start showing you grisly movies wherein documentaries of starvation or poverty of Africa are shown every second day, you will start viewing life very pessimistically. So, visual, use the visual aid. Try to remind yourself of good times you had earlier. That is step number two. Step number three, try to find an anchor in someone else's life. Try to help someone else. The moment you start helping someone else and you see that you have changed that person's life, you will start having self worth and you will start feeling good about yourself. So, yeah, these three things probably I feel, can push you out from a negative situation.
Beautifully answered, Dr. Sheetal. Um, there is a follow-up question on that by Mr. Nandan. He mentioned that monk is different kind of character with respect to mindful activity, not much about the future and past.
Yeah,
What are
so
your views?
that's exactly what I said. But monk here is a colloquial term where I'm using equating a monk to my professor, equating a monk to their learning. So, who becomes a monk? A person who has let go of everything in life and who has knowledge which he or she can share to you. Is Dalai Lama a monk? Yes, he is a monk. Can I learn a lot from Dalai Lama? Yes, I can. Is Sadhguru a monk? Yes, he is. Can I learn a lot from Sadhguru? Yes, I can. So that is why the monk secret.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sheetal. Now, we have multiple questions that are coming in, keeping the time constraint in mind. We'll take up this last question that is there from Karuna. Uh, since you got to know about your insecurities at an early stage of your life, what if someone realizes it at a very later stage, let's say in the mid of 40s? What do you think one should do to overcome it?
Karuna, what is time? Time is an abstract notion, absolutely abstract. You realize your insecurities in 40s or 50s, it doesn't matter. I'll give you an answer by sharing a short story. I was in Pune, I was in Symbiosis studying, right? And we had only two trains to catch when I used to reach to Baroda. So once upon a time, I had this habit, I used to be scared, right? So my parents used to call me and I used to leave early to the station. Once, for some reason, I missed getting out of my college early, and I had only half an hour to reach Pune station. And people who are aware of the traffic in Pune know that it's very tough to reach. So while in the auto, I was shit scared. I was like, "Good Lord, what will happen? What will happen? Will I reach on time? Will I miss the train? If I miss the train, I don't have money to catch another train. I have only simple pocket money. What will I do?" When I reached the station, I was lucky that the train itself was late. And because the train was late, I was able to board the train on time. That is life. If I'll give you a very simple example. Whenever you realize your insecurity, you are able to find it. Remember, it's just like the train, it's always there. You can catch it anytime. You can board it anytime. It will still take you to your destination. Just like my late train brought me to my home, your late knowledge of your insecurities will also bring you to success. So never be afraid. You'll get your insecurities at 60s, doesn't matter. You will still be a happy person.
Beautifully answered, Dr. Sheetal. Great session. Short of words to thank you for such an insightful and enlightening session. Key takeaways are the four pillars, and yes, collocation. It has been a pleasure being with you today. I'm sure our participants have had a lot to learn and take away from this session. Before we conclude with our today's session, we would also want to thank the association members, that is Acacia, NASSCOM COE, LinkedIn Local, Talgrow, TLE, WICCI, and ClipTalk for supporting these HRAI events. I know more about these. To know more about these association, I would request you all to kindly visit the link provided in the chat window. Thank you once again, dear speaker, and our participants for joining us today. Do join us for our next masterclass tomorrow on stress at workplace, a session by Miss Sakshi Mandyan, founder Mandyan Care, on the 29th of April 2021. I request you to kindly register for this event at the link mentioned in the chat window. Also, do join the Dialogue 2021 WhatsApp chat group through the invite link shared in the chat window. That's it from us today. See you soon. Stay safe, take care, and keep learning. Thank you. Thank you for being present, Sapna. Thank you, Dipen, Parvati. Thank you. Thank you, Rajiv, for joining in. Thank you, Sham. We hereby conclude with our today's session.